again, this is why I say this is where it's a skill where you have to learn to give all four of them all of your attention.
I have a quick question. I don't mean to derail, but you were mentioning that some of your trainers train more than one person at a time. So like, what's the max amount of people that these trainers train within a one session?
Well, our guys are training like over 100 sessions a week.
Over 100 sessions a week.
Yeah, 100 to 150.
So you mean that's like
4 to 5 at a time.
4 to 5 at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So
you got to figure if you want to make, let's just throw some numbers out here. So if you
say $40 an hour,
if you book a client, say $400 a month for 12 sessions, which is sustainable for them. It's certainly less than what you pay at a big box gym, usually $70 an hour or the like. So you're on $35 an hour. So now if you're training just that client for an hour, you've limited your income to $35, right? If you're counting their reps and moving their pin, that you're topped out. But if you could train 3 of those clients in a given hour, now you're doing $100 an hour. So if you have 20 clients paying you $400 a month, that's your $100,000 a year in income from personal training. 20 clients is not a big ask for you to go out. If you follow what Matt put in here in terms of his marketing, which is something he expects of his clients, and we'll go over that. But a very big piece of this book is understanding that you need to go get your clients. That's a constant, as you know. And you got some drop off, you got to get some new. Marketing really becomes as big a piece as the training component.
Yeah, you're in a sales job, really.
You're in a sales job.
You're selling an annuity, you're selling it every month, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So,
in that scenario, you know, the person's not getting like that normal one-on-one that they're used to, but
it's actually better.
They'll also pay a different price, but they'll also get used to it as well. Like it's kind of what we're used to, right? So the one-on-one, you know, maybe somebody at first is like, man, I wish this person was just with me the entire hour, but now they might get a slightly reduced rate, but they're going to get a great workout because the coach or trainer is still going to be floating around to them, or are they trying to make all 3 people do a similar workout?
No, that's the beauty of it. Number one, I'll give you 4 reasons why it's the best. Number one, you're not limited to a time. I think you need to be, young people in particular are very focused on their side of the plate, if you know what I mean. I think it's very helpful in life to be aware of the other person's side of the plate. And I always tell people, it doesn't mean you have to give up your rights or respect, but like if a client's running late, probably because they had a bad day at work, their kid threw up, husband or wife got in a fight with them, the last thing they need is their trainer like, you're 15 minutes late, well, get on the bike, we're going to have to skip your warm-up. Like, that would nauseate me. So it allows some flexibility in scheduling, number one. So if you're running, that's kind of how it started, honestly, is a guy came early and he's like, oh, I'm early. And I'm like, well, just come in. And I asked the other client, do you mind? And it kind of navigated from that. Number 2, I found it helps clients because a lot of people don't believe they can do something. And especially this is where like looking like how we look might work against you. They're like, I can't do that. I'm not you. But then the other old lady does it. And they're like, oh, I guess I can do that. And then 3, there's camaraderie. You know, I think there's a lot of fun because I've always said this is like hosting a party. And Mark, you got to do this all the time because you have all these people coming to your gym. I felt even bad last night, like, you know, me, Steve, and Jimmy coming in. And I can tell you have all these people. You can't just rely on like you. So, you know, you got to say, oh, Matt, you should meet Stan. Stan's also, you know, a powerlifter. And Nsima, you know, he's an athlete too. And you got to kind of work the room. But people then are attached to the crowd and not just you. So I think they like it better. That's comes to the community.
Yeah.
And then I think for the 4th reason, I think we've had interns come in and the trainer will, like the client will come up and be like, tell this guy to like lay off because it's almost awkward. And somebody's like, how's that feel? You know, how's that feel? How's it?
7, 8, 2 more, like, 9,
especially on like
10.
Like if you're doing a 1-arm row, it's not like somebody's got to be like, come on. Pull it, elbow. It's like, all right, it's a 1-arm row.
And mind you, this isn't a group training session. Everybody doesn't come in and get together and do the same thing. This is an 18-year-old wrestler in high school and a 64-year-old car accident rehab lady, and you give them their independent individual programs. But again, this is why I say this is where it's a skill where you have to learn to give all 4 of them all of your attention.
Power Project family, how's it going? Now on this podcast, Mark, Andrew, and I, we talk about fasting a lot. We talk about the ketogenic diet and a lot of different types of diets. But Bubs Naturals has a product. They have the collagen protein, which is amazing. They have these apple cider vinegar gummies, which are like crack, but they have
They are.
these, they have these MCT oil powder packets that I've never used to do this, but in the morning I'll wake up and I'll put it in coffee, and the smoothness, number one, in terms of the mixing is amazing, but the consistency of my energy through the day because of the MCT oil powder is peak. Andrew, how's your experience with it?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. It's like the best way to start the day. You're satiated, you're energized, and you're just ready to crush the day. So if you guys want to get in on this MCT oil powder, head over to bubsnaturals.com and at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save 20% off your entire order. Again, Bubs Naturals, promo code PowerProject to save 20% off. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
And that's where Matt trains his
they're also
trainers to do
learning
that.
because they're doing some stuff a little bit on their own. Like you tell them what to do, but they've learned it from previous sessions.
And you graduate from 1 to 2, 2 to 3 as you
and
learn.
like let's say I was training the three of you, and Nsima's on legs, and Mark, you were doing back, and Stan's doing chest. I would know if you're squatting, I better spot that. If you're doing back, that's I could say
that pull down doesn't need a spot,
right? And so I might like while he's doing flies, I'll spot you on squat, but when he's benching, I might have you do walking lunges.
Yeah.
So I can move around the room, and if you think about like in a workout, it's not a jazzercise class. I mean, when you train, it's not like you do take breaks and you do. The big thing is to never make anybody feel. They always should have an instruction on what to do. I always tell my clients, if somebody's sitting, you screwed up. They should always have something that they know they got to do. So, but group training is great. But I come back to that book report. I think it's the most important thing. You learn so much about your people, and it's got to be genuine. I love people. I think people are fascinating. My clients are really, it's interesting to see. Like even Mark, like your story's fascinating. Nsima, you got a really interesting story. Stan's got, I don't know if you have been around Stan a lot. Do you ever notice it's like, oh, Hawaii? I spent, when I was 10, I spent a summer in Hawaii. You're like, what? Like anywhere I've been, Stan's like, oh, Antarctica? Yeah. When I was a younger man, I did some drywalling.
It's like Forrest Gump.
Yeah. So, but he does have an interesting story. And I know my story, so it's not that interesting to me. So, but the better you get to know your clients, the better you get to know how to motivate them. The better you know, the things they like, things they don't like. And it's better for referrals because if I know your day, it's like, man, you always talk about your friend Julie. Why don't you bring her in? It's like, yeah, I should bring her in.
It's funny because Matt he'll go to his trainers about a new client and say, oh, so, and start asking them the questions. And they're like, oh, I don't know. And Matt knows. He's like, why don't you know?
Yeah.
Matt took me up to a board. We'll talk about the board and the importance of the board later, but it had there's like 30 clients on there at least.
More than that, yeah.
More than that. And Matt stood there in front of the board and told me every single client's name, their wife's name, their kid's name, where they work, and a host of other interesting things about all of them. Just one after the other, as did Jason. Jason comes and says, oh, and this one, bing, bing, bing,
Stan did the same thing. Ironically, everybody's named Biggs.
Yeah,
their wives, their kids.
Yeah, they're all Biggs kids.
The third thing in curiosity, doing a book report. Number 2, obviously lead by example. So you got to compete. To me, that's competing. All my trainers have to compete or have to have a lot of competitive background to work for us. And the reason that is, if you think about it, it doesn't mean we're right. But in my gym, which is very similar to this gym, almost identical, wouldn't you say? We're solving your problems with a barbell. Somebody's like, my back is killing me. Great, we're going to teach you how to deadlift. My thighs are not as toned as I'd like for a woman. Great, we're going to teach you how to squat. That's just what we do. So if you're not proficient in the barbell, you're going to struggle. And I had it's actually a pro baseball player for the Reds. And he would always say like, oh, this kind of bothers my knee. And I'd like, oh, push here, or put your foot here. And he's like, how do you always know this? But it's because I compete. So like you guys all know, it's like, I've had that knee pain. I've had this, and you know the fix for it. If you just read the book and you take the NASM exam, I promise you don't know much. I don't care if you can like name the rotator cuff muscles. You really don't know how to fix the rotator cuff. And if you don't compete, I promise, like there was a strength coach who once said to me, I won't name his name, but he drove me nuts because he said, he goes, I never powerlifted. It's so one-dimensional. I'm like, well, so sprinting. You don't knock Usain Bolt. Why don't you try powerlifting? They're such snobs about it. It's like try bodybuilding. See how easy it is to get lean, or see how easy it is to get really strong. And I promise you, because that's why I make them continue to compete. You will hit a wall. It's like, oh, I did a meet. Well, I did 2 meets. It was easy. It's like, oh yeah, you squatted 315, then you went to 365. Wonderful. Keep going.
Yeah.
Because you were headed for an injury.
And you'll probably get injured, and you'll be able to reflect as to why,
100%.
and you'll have to rehab. And when somebody comes to you with similar circumstance, you'll be able to help.
And
them
we
better.
deal in extremes. So our head trainer, he talks about Jason. He squats 780 raw.
Whew.
And he's the one who went from 6 1/4 to 700. And when he squatted 760, he hurt his back, and like bad. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's early 30s. He's got 2 kids. He would get out of his car like that, that.
Mm-hmm. Been there.
And I'm sitting there going like, he might be like in trouble, like long term. Forget powerlifting. He rehabbed it. He did inversion tables. He did, he did modalities.
Mm-hmm.
He came back and squatted 780. So, and I know everybody out here is listening. It's like, well, should he be squatting 700 pounds? Maybe not. But guess what? If you are a normal person and you're like, I have a bulge disc, and if Jason can go from to barely getting out of the car to squatting 780, he can help you get pain free.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a joke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like you guys get so lean. I've never got as lean as you guys, but it's like if somebody said like, Stan, I just can't lose this last 10 pounds. You're like, I was a pro bodybuilder. 10 pounds. Same for you, Mark. You're like, I did a bodybuilding show. You want to lose 10 pounds? That's easy. You have to scale it back. You have to. You have to be better than the client. It can't be an impossible task. It can't be like, oh, you want to squat? Like, and I've seen trainers, and they you can tell when they know they're out of their realm, and that's when you're not good. You got to be above your client. So they have to compete. You lead by example. You become proficient with barbells and diets and fixing out injuries. Stan talked about starting out. I recommend everybody start out at a big box or a gym that will pay you something for your time. So I think it's a terrible idea to start out and try to make it like on commission only. Go big box gym. They usually give you some sort of hourly rate. And then you want to start somewhere where, you can maybe learn something from somebody.
Get some experience.
But the one thing, like I said this earlier, all these guys know your worth and all these buzzwords on social media. Your worth is what you're worth. Like I know your mom and dad told you you're special, and you're special to them, but to everyone else, you're worth. If somebody wants to come in and say, hey, I want to stock slingshots. You're like, probably great. That's 12, 15, what I don't know what you pay. But I know my worth. I'm worth 50 an hour, you say, not to stock slingshots. You're worth whatever somebody will pay you, and you have to create your worth. So these trainers early, Mark said it so well, quit calculating your fucking hourly rate. If you have a dream of doing this, quit talking about my hourly rate, my hour. It's going to suck. Stop worrying about it. If you want to do this business, stop, like any sales job. I got friends who are lawyers.
If you want to own a gym, especially.
Oh my God, don't even start there.
Just the amount of hours that you are probably going to end up there, and the amount of hours you're going to think about it.
You're going to pay to
when
work.
Matt started, he was training people at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, and again at 8 at night, and it was on their schedule.
100%.
It wasn't until you developed enough clients to where you could start to maybe kick them off to another trainer, and then start to pinch your schedule down. But that's from the fruits of your own labor. That's not where you start.
And think about it. I did, or I would have clients where I'd say, hey, especially I had multiple gyms at one time, and I would do like 3 days in one gym, 3 days in the other. And then I got to the point where I said, hey, I'm going to hire people for this gym. I'm going to work in the other one. And then some clients drove 25 minutes, but I created that value because I give them awesome workouts. And they're like, well, we don't want to train with another trainer. I'm like, great, come on down.
Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel because we continue to bring you
Peak content on this channel. Obviously, you guys are here. You guys have watched the whole video. So like, comment, subscribe. All right.
See you later.